A lot of what I'm going to show you today has to do with observation from standing at a certain point. I'm going to put you at different points or in different positions to look at phenomenon that you've all seen, it's all very familiar to you, so you can see the emergence of a language that we might use to draw common denominators out of complex subjects and begin to relate them. Everything you're going to see was done on the Mac 2 CX with the Macromind Director, Macromind Accelerator, all done in the last 4 weeks. The first one will be one that's very obvious to you. You've heard it many times, you've seen it many times, you've held it many times. It's a look at a pearl and how it's formed. Little intruder, sand or a piece of shell, or could be a marine worm, a larvae, lodges between the tissue and the shell of an oyster, and the oyster forms its self-defense by coating it with layers of calcium carbonate. It's mother of pearl. Same thing he puts on the inside of his shell, if he is the right term. It's like painting your house to protect it. It's like your fingernail. If you touch your fingernail, your body does the same thing with the same material. Your fingernail, the calcium in your fingernail might once have been part of an oyster millions of years ago. These are microscopic layers of nacre. They're very, very, very thin. You can only see the first 200 layers, or you can see 200 layers when you look at a pearl, just visibly with your eye. The thickness of that nacre relates directly to the value of the pearl. Earth itself accretes, gathers, almost just like, visually like, the egg granules do form a yolk, but they rush together. This is the prevailing theory now in plate tectonics. They rush together with such an incredible speed that the Earth catches fire, or caught fire. And as it cooled, it left a center core, which is still burning, and it leaves successive layers of outer core, which is quite molten and still theoretically moving, and the mantle, which is also moving, and the outer layers, which are relatively still. All exaggerated thickness, of course. Now you could almost see the solar system with the same pattern. The sun's in the center, and these radiating circles represent the degrees of radiation in which life can live as we know it. A calorie is like a lump of coal, true. It's a thing. I wanted to see it as a thing. And I found out that in our food we eat, basically our food is all divided into two parts. It's got nutrients and accessories, like options. And in the nutrient section, that's what shows. Carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Every single food you eat has those divisions. That's all. There are two kinds of fat, but they have three basic ingredients. The interesting thing about calories is you can relate them to light bulbs and horsepower, which I think is great. You have 4,186 calories makes 1 watt. So 28,000 calories, roughly speaking, makes a 75-watt light bulb, or a little bit more. 3,122,756 calories makes 1 horsepower. That, by the way, is a pizza. Carbohydrate, that much, protein, that much, and fat, that much. Very nutritious. Carbohydrate, of course, for energy, protein for cell building and cell control, fat for reserve energy. This is a cup of cashews. Look at that fat. You could live on it, but boy, you'd be big. Now, if I were you, if I were looking at this in your position, I'd be looking at the white because that's the good stuff. This is a drumstick. Wow. Not much carbohydrate, an awful lot of protein, a lot of fat. This is with the skin on, if you care. The next one will be a carrot. Oh, wonderful. Look at that. Oh, wow. Great. Carrot. Oh, protein, a little teeny bit of fat. That's a carrot. 1 carrot. 7 inches, if you care. The next one will be a Frankfurter. A hot dog. No roll. No. Look at that, and watch that. Why can't food be labeled like this? Okay, next one is waffle. Now, a waffle has, one waffle, round, has 210 calories, which you'd have to eat 14,870 of these to equal 1 horsepower. Isn't that neat? Okay. Now, a 3-inch apple with the core, but you don't eat the core, I guess. It didn't really say that. It's 125 calories, lots of carbohydrates, really goes on. Great food, like a carrot. Look at that. Oh, great. Surprising amount of fat. 24,000, almost 25,000 you'd have to eat for 1 horsepower. Don't know how many light bulbs. But now, we're not told all this information. You're running your diets, if you are a calorie counter, by number. It means relatively little. We all have different nutritional needs. And if you knew what they were, and you could identify your foods with that kind of thing, you'd be better off. This is Cinderella, plot diagram. Cinderella, sweet little girl, in the center, with the realms of her environment, of her characters. She counterplays with, beside her, pleasant home life, mommy and a daddy. Mommy dies, daddy's still with Cinderella. Swooping in is the stepmother and 2 step-sisters. Daddy goes out, leaves Cinderella alone, and with this big gap, Daddy dies, and there she left. Poor Cinderella, all left alone. And here's the king and the prince running around, sort of waiting for the plot development that brings them all together. But I'm groping for a language with which we can use our knowledge in a connective way. The project I'm working on right now is a dictionary, which is really a 2-part dictionary designed for computer retrieval, obviously, but now in a print form, where we're unifying the language, which is to say that I detest the dictionary in its present form, the alphabetical access being, in my mind, completely arbitrary, but comfortable, familiar. You can always find a word. This is all an attempt to unify the language, to show that there is in our language hierarchies, which are big words and little words, words that are more important than other words, and somebody doesn't have to do laborious paper search to find them. That's it. Thank you.